It's back. Kind of. Almost. New developments in downtown Disney, more track at Disneyland Railroad, and more info about its return. And we're just weeks away from our first ride at Tiana's Bayou Adventure. But first, let's get the latest from Pixie Hollow, where things are starting to progress. The walls up around Pixie Hollow and next to Astro Orbiter are just about how we left them last week, extending all the way around towards the Matterhorn Mountain. And of course, the original green walls are still there as well. You know, it got me thinking. I looked around the other side and I noticed that the sign, the concept art is still out there. It's still out there in spite of everyone believing nothing's going to happen. Is something going to happen? I wonder if there's any chance at all that they may continue with that theming plan. Let's get on the Astro Orbiter and get our first look at what's happening at Pixie Hollow. By the way, right there in that lower corner, that little part sticking out, that's the place. That's the original green walls that have been up there since they began the update to the French Fry Rocks. So they took out the French Fry Rocks. They left those green walls, and they've been there ever since. There's like a roof that they've constructed on top of that. I don't know if that's always been there or for how long it's been there. I haven't really been paying attention. But there's the scene at Pixie Hollow, and you can see that they have covered the little grotto where the light show is done. Like a white tarp has been placed over the grotto, which tells me that is what they are working on. They're working on that little grotto. For what purpose, we still don't know for sure. I'm going to enjoy speculating about the return of the light show, but otherwise, we're not sure really what it is that they're doing down there. Maybe it could just be they want to repair whatever's broken down there. You can also see that the concrete has been poured already for the path. I wonder, is that path in the same design, the same size as it was before? Interesting. It looks a little different there on the lower left. If we keep going to the right, we can see last week we reported nothing was happening at Pixie Hollow proper. This week there are walls up, or I should say, that white tarp is up along the wall, but this is outside of the perimeter of Pixie Hollow proper. So there's still nothing happening in that meet and greet space, but they are doing something in the themed areas. Actually, this is more of the grotto there, isn't it? Some of those themed areas around the path that takes you to go meet the Pixies. So I'm going to be really curious to see if this is just something for the water features only, it looks like. I mean, that's the message that I'm getting, although they did put it in a new concrete path, but it does seem like so far they're working only on the water features. And now I say so far, it's not like we have a lot of time left. Pixie Hollow is going to reopen in just over a week. By the time you see this, it'll be, just over a week. It's going to reopen on next Tuesday. So it's not like they have time to do a lot more. So this is not a very complicated or, aggressive update. I would expect it's just those covered areas that are being worked on. Ever been on the Astro Orbiter and tried to look behind you and keep your eyes on the same spot for the entire loop? I do not recommend that. While we're here, let's jump over to Space Mountain. Nothing new to report. The same blue walls are up at the top section. But one thing that I did find when I walked in there is the sign is a bit on the fritz. I actually thought this might be some sort of effect. But that's the clock. That's the clock you normally see. It looks like this normally. But today, if we get up close, it's just it's just not, it ain't right. Something's wrong with the Space Mountain clock, but that looked kind of cool. I'm like, oh gosh, what is happening here? We'll talk next about the Disneyland Railroad. I have a lot of coverage to get into on this as we wind this project down. I stopped first at the Tomorrowland station, and I don't know if we've mentioned this in a construction report, but the right sign, the Tomorrowland sign, or I should say the Tomorrowland Railroad sign, that was behind Scrim and Scaffold for a while. It has been updated. This one was not. I don't know if you can see, but the one in the foreground is much more saturated, brighter, fresh. They updated this one. They did not update the sign behind it. I've been advised it was because I guess guests like to go back there and take pictures of their kids on Autopia, which I can imagine. That's pretty cool. And that they didn't want to interrupt that by putting Scrim and Scaffold around there. I'm not sure if I buy that because the Scrim and Scaffold is up for just a week, and I'm sure people will survive not being able to take a picture of their kids on the Autopia. But that's just what I heard. Who knows? Let's get on that monorail, though, and let's start taking a look at the train tracks. There's our first look. This is just as you're leaving the monorail station over Autopia, and you can see ties and track have been put in place. You can see that they've put some ballast on top of the ties, so that's something we'll get into a little bit later, but there's still a process going here. But they are, all the track, it looks like all the track and the railroad ties have been put in place along the length of the Disneyland Railroad track that they are updating. Stay on the monorail to get a good look at what's happening in the Disneyland Esplanade. What's going on in those construction walls at the main entrance. Looks like concrete has been poured out, in the walls in front of Gate 13. And we've got tiles. Oh gosh, they're close to finish thing. We got tiles down, and obviously the tree and its new non-planter situation there. And actually, as a matter of fact, let's get on the ground. They took the walls down. Well, not walls. They had some temporary obstructions up around this tree, but now everything's down. So this is the final product. As a matter of fact, I thought they might put a steel grate here like they do over at DCA, but no. It's not. It's some sort of composite. It's not wood. That is the final form. And so guests are freely walking through it. You can see that the tree and that situation is not obstructing guest traffic in the least. Guests are walking right through it. So there's no interference on a normal day in terms of the tree trick. It's not getting in the way there. So the tree trick definitely is not working on even a semi-busy day. But what I did find, like during the rope drop, if the queue backs up beyond the planter where the monorail support is, you will still see probably that queue, just one queue where those guests are, and then it'll separate into two. But that's only when the queue is super duper long. Meanwhile, as we mentioned, these construction walls in front of 13 are still there. Concrete has been poured, and they've taken the walls down around the far left tree, and looks like it's ready to be revealed here soon to guests. We mentioned last week that Disney will be soon updating the guest entrances, the turnstiles. It's going to begin on this side. My guess is these turnstiles here on the left, and perhaps these to the right as well. Probably just those 6 is my guess. And also, as we reported last week, they're going to probably look a lot like the ones that are being installed right now at DCA. They're still not finished. This is about how they looked last week. I was expecting to see a little bit more, the finished product. This is not quite there. You can see that there are placeholders for screens or something. The cylindrical thing coming up out of where you scan your pass, there's going to be a screen there attached that cast will be able to monitor. That's not installed yet. So we're still waiting for the finished product here, but that's how the new turnstiles will look. Let's get back on the monorail and check in again on more of the Disneyland Railroad tracks. We are now approaching Small World here. Difficult to see those tracks. You can see just along the edge of the window there. There they are. There's the railroad ties, and there are tracks on top of those ties presently. And this goes all the way to the Toontown Station on the other side of Small World. And here at the very end, you can see where they've also installed the track split. One side goes backstage, one side goes on stage. So my intel suggests that they are pretty much on track for a late October reopening for the Disneyland Railroad. They're going to be able to start testing, I would say, in the next couple of weeks. They're still working on getting all the track and everything down. We do see that there is track, railroad ties. It looks like everything's ready to go, but there is still another phase after that where they drop more ballast on top of the track, and then they gotta tamper that down, compress it, to get it ready for for trains. So, being it to the first week of October, I would guess that maybe in the next week or two they'll start testing trains. By the way, I should mention also that I've been advised that they have been refurbing all of the trains. Well, everything but the Ripley. The Ripley just had a refurb recently, so it didn't need one. But they're refurbing all of the trains, so just like everything else that they've been working on at Disneyland of late, it's all related to the 70th, and the trains are going to be no exception. Everything's going to be tip-top and ready to go for the 70th anniversary. I'm so excited. Okay, guys, if you'll allow me, let me take a quick break to remind you guys of our preferred travel partners, Getaway Today. They are fans of our show, and we are fans of them. If you are planning a trip to the Disneyland Resort or to any Disney theme park or even to Universal, Alani, or anything of that nature, make your travel arrangements through Getaway Today. We love them. They are fantastic. They are the best in the business at making sure that you get everything you need out of a vacation at a Disneyland Resort or at the Disneyland Resort or Walt Disney World or anywhere you like. Knowledgeable, friendly, kind, and you'll probably get a good deal there. Use the link in our description for Getaway Today. Let them know we sent you, and I hope you guys enjoy your trip. We'll go to Smart World to see what's happening next. We reported that there's some scrim and scaffold up around the Glockenspiel. I've been asking around. I cannot find out any information as to what they're doing. The plan there is just paint and polish and nothing really too serious. And we do actually now have a date. It is going to open on November 15th, first day of the holiday season. It will be closed until November 14th. The update now has included the Small World gift shop. You can see where they're in the middle of repainting those pillars there. There's some painter's tape on there now that they haven't finished the job yet. And then over here on this side, you can see that there's some blemishes and unfinished sections here. And then while I was here checking out some of the paint jobs going on at the Small World gift shop, I heard a ruckus happening back where the track is, and they had a little rig there. I think what that rig is doing is pouring that ballast. I think it is putting the ballast down on the track, so they're getting ready to tamp that down. That's probably the last phase of this construction project, of this refurb project for the train, is to put that final layer of ballast down. Fantasyland Theater, they've reopened it. You could now, again, guests can go back in there and relax, sit on these benches, enjoy some lunch here if you would like. And wait for something to happen. Actually, something will be happening this Christmas. They're going to be doing a Santa Claus meet and greet. There's a permit that has been filed recently. They're going to install six Christmas trees, a show set, and a tree prop that will be anchored to concrete ballast blocks. So a Santa Claus meet and greet is going to be installed here. After that, I don't know what they're going to do in January, man. I just don't know. Seems like such a waste of space. You talk about waste of space. That's how people define the rivers of America at Walt Disney World. This, you guys, is the true definition of a waste of space. Not that I want to see them put an attraction here. I just want a show back. I want a proper show. Give me back Mickey and the Magical Map. Why don't you? Let's go to New Orleans Square and catch up on the Haunted Mansion. Well, actually, first we're going to look at this is the New Orleans Square depot for the Disneyland Railroad. I nothing to report here. I can't see anything happening over the wall, over that scrim that they put up, and they've got scrim around the building as well, so we can't really see anything. No over-the-wall shots this week from the street team, but we can see a construction worker down there doing some final touches to some of those brick veneers on that brick wall there. He's just smoothing out some plaster there, it looks like, or something to that effect. Trying to see if I can't find crew doing anything over there. The balancing act that I'm doing right now, you guys, if you could only see. Actually, some people have seen. So we'll get on the Mark Twain to see if we can get a better view of anything happening at Haunted Mansion. And by the way, let me report again, we had some slow days right after the discounted ticket offer ended. The parks were kind of quiet, but they picked up. It was busy on Thursday, and you can see it's busy there on Friday. We had a 45-minute wait there for Pirates of the Caribbean. Here again is that courtyard out in front of Tiana's Palace, where we just saw those guys working on that brick wall. Nothing to report there. It looks like the same old situation. Looks like things are advancing on the elevator building there, which all seem to agree that it's most likely going to be some kind of mausoleum. We're hoping that that's the themed finale, or the final product there is some kind of mausoleum, but it is evolving. They've got steel up in front of that, so that means they're going to be putting some elements on there, attaching some themed elements to that front of that building. So that's moving along. Disneyland Railroad, I'm pretty sure we've covered this in the past, but there you see the steps leading up to the queue for the Disneyland Railroad. Still waiting for them to install any kind of landscaping. I have always admired the landscaping out here in front of the Disneyland Railroad, and I sure hope they find some way to bring all that stuff back. I do expect them to. It's not that I'm expecting them that they don't, but I would like to see it. I would like to see it soon, please. There's the extended queue for the Haunted Mansion. Can't see over those walls. We'll slide right to see what's happening beyond the pet cemetery. No update on that fence that they built back there, and then there's that far left cinder blocks portion of the ADA elevator that they're building back there. I am just going to be so fascinated to see how that winds up looking to guests. How's that going to feel? What's that experience going to be like in that rear queue with that big giant elevator back there? Check in next at Tiana's Bayou Adventure to see our frogs on the log. I'm just gonna shoot these frogs every week now for this for the near term, because I just think that's great. I think that's adorable. I love it, and that area is looking really, really full and developed. There has been we've seen lighting testing. This shot from Luke and Enzo. Love that purple lighting. I'm sure there's going to be different hues attached to this, but this is what they got on the mountain. This is at night. It's going to look really pretty. And by the way, for those of you who are wondering, how that's going to look with the Haunted Mansion gift shop, there's that purple lighting on the other side of this gift shop, which we're going to go look at here in just a minute. Can't wait. Meanwhile, on the other side towards Bayou Country, they're still working on, stuff behind the walls. Raised Berets is still behind Scrim, so that is not finished yet. Although I do have a strong feeling that they're done on the ground. The concrete and all that stuff is done. They're in the process of actually building that extended queue. There's going to be, well, it's not extended. It's the beginning of the queue proper. We've talked about this before. That sign right there, that's the entrance for guests to enter in the queue. And there's going to be some switchbacks right there. You're going to start off in those switchbacks amongst those trees, which it's going to have a very detailed layered effect there. I can't wait to see how that looks as well. We got some new signs up at Hungry Bear, the Country Bear barbecue jamboree thing, whatever. There they are. There's the Country Bears. They put some signs up. We've passed it already. We already know about this sign that's out there in the very back dining area. Let's go back and look again. Maybe we can see it better this time. There we go. You can see there's 1, 2, 3. I think I see Big Al on the wall there. So four Country Bear posters are about to go up. Let's get on the ground and check out the Haunted Mansion gift shop, which is just moving along quickly now. We're working at Epic Universe style paces now on this particular gift shop. They're really trying to get this thing built in time for the opening of the Haunted Mansion and Tiana's Bayou Adventure, the queue that is. So they've got a roof. The roof is completely installed now. They've got sheathing out there in front of the building there. Well, I should say that the path facing, actually the entrance to the building, I believe, is along the side that runs, near to or in front of the Haunted Mansion exit. And I'm staring at this little section here, by the way, because I'm trying to see what the impact is, what the influence is of that roof, and how it affects the guests leaving. We've talked about this in the past. It's that's definitely right there. That's halfway. I mean, you could tell, right? The roof is sticking out into a straight path from that exit would basically run into the supports for that part of the roof. Although again, as I mentioned, it's going to be open down there. There's just going to be columns. It's not going to be a wall. So they don't have to go around a wall. They just have to go around the columns that'll be there. That I don't know why they could have just made that just a tiny bit smaller, I guess is what I'm saying. Maybe just make it a little bit smaller by a couple feet. Here's the front side, and you can see they've got some cutout there for that window. The sheathing has been cut out to make room for the window that'll appear as we've seen in the concept art. By the way, this gift shop, if you're not aware, is going to be themed. It's going to be Madame Leota themed, and it's going to have quite a bit of influence from Museum of the Weird. If you're a fan of Disneyland history and of Haunted Mansion history, you'll know what I'm talking about, the Museum of the Weird. Look it up on the internets. We actually did a whole, history video about it as well. But there will be it's basically Raleigh Crump. This is going to be like Raleigh Crump's gift shop, which is fantastic. Back on the ground at Critter Country as well, there's the front to Raised Berets, formerly the Briar Patch. And again, there's not much to see. I'm looking for any kind of themed additions. There's the latest on the entrance, sort of covered area that they're putting at the entrance to Tiana's. The signs are in place for standby and for Lightning Lane. There's my boards. I was there. That's the current status on the little faux wood front to that. Look at this queue, you guys. We talked about how busy it was at Pirates. Look at this queue for Winnie the Pooh. Never in my life have I seen the Winnie the Pooh queue go this far. I've seen it go back a little bit further that way, but never have I seen it go all the way, well, not all the way, halfway down Pooh Sticks River. It makes me happy. It makes me happy that people are that eager to check out Winnie the Pooh and the 100 Acre Wood. Guys, Critter Country, as we know it, is going to be just fine. You can call it Bayou Country, but Critter Country is going to be just fine. Backside is pretty much done here at Tiana's. All the scrim and scaffold is taken down. You got some lighting instruments up there that they're probably working on putting in the final touches on the ground and all the themed elements that we can't see over the wall. As we mentioned last week, the scrim and scaffold are down in front of Pooh Corner. By the way, speaking of crowds, look at I'm trying to get back there to Pooh Corner to get into the entrance. I could not. There were so many people right there. Pooh Corner is just as we left it last week, still waiting for anything to happen with Lewis's Critter Club. There's no advancement there, although I think they are getting closer because they have moved the walls around a little bit. But as like I said, man, Critter Country is just going to be fine. They're at the Eeyore meet and greet. Winnie the Pooh, they're just, it's like they're just acting like nothing's changed. It's Bayou Country, but to them it's still Critter Country. One thing that we can cite that's definitely gone from Critter to Bayou. A while back we reported that they took down the little setting up there for Mr. Sanders' house where they had the mailbox with Roo on there and everything. And I assumed that they were going to replace that with something, and they have in fact. This is now a place for the Bayou critters to, I don't know, I guess it's like a little hangout that they have. You can see there's a banjo, some vegetables, a lamp, and there is a mailbox as well. Instead now it says fan mail, and it's for performers only. So they have Tiana'd this section, which makes sense because that's actually the gift shop for Lewis's Critter Club, and is no longer part of Pooh Corner. So Tiana's getting the left half of this land, and the Critter Country is keeping the right half of the land, it seems like. And that is Critter Country. Let's go back to Adventureland and check in on the Jungle Cruise, where boats are back on the water. Very exciting. Today, as I recorded this, was the first day that it had reopened. Let's go check out the views over there at Indiana Jones, which, by the way, look at the queue. That was a posted 45-minute wait time, and there she goes with a sign. The back of the queue for Indy was way out there in front of Jungle Cruise on a 45-minute posted wait time. Sick! And by the way, the queue was full back there. So we get a long view here from our usual spot by the Indiana Jones queue. There's a boat going by, and you can see that the walls are still up. The scrim has been, well, I feel like it's differently placed than it was before. Obviously, there's no scrim along the water. So we'll get on a proper Jungle Cruise boat, and let's see how it looks on the water. There's going to be some other changes, some other updates that we'll be able to notice and observe along our tour. But here we go. There, tiger scene coming up on our left. Same walls there. The tiger's still there. He's still behind those walls. And then scrim and scaffold. And we can't see anything. I have no idea what they're doing in there. Still don't know what they're up to. I mean, we still can't see what they're up to. We know that they are updating the scene, restoring it, with the whole temple and the arch and everything. So we know that that's happening, but we just can't see for sure what it's going to wind up looking like at the end. A little further along, you guys may have heard the news about a helicopter flying over Disneyland early in the morning. I want to say it was Thursday morning. And what they were doing was bringing in this elephant on our left. They refurbed the first African bull elephant there on the left. David, turn the camera. There you go. There it is. I'm pretty sure that's the one they brought in because they had just done that elephant. That's the one that was brought in via helicopter maybe 6 months ago or so. That one got refurbed. So I'm going to assume it was the elephant on the left that was being replaced. So you may have heard about that. So that's the reason why. And then also one thing that I noted and was hoping would be the case is that the piranhas are working again. There they go. Fantastic. And by the way, I do want to note and compliment our skipper here because she said what is now my absolute favorite skipper joke.
What's over here? Oh my goodness, I know these two. Okay, so the one on the right, her name is Annette, and the one on the left is Magnifying Glass. They've been dating each other for years, but they still give each other butterflies. Aww, so cute. Alright, so.
That is quite literally my sense of humor, you guys. I am the anti-joke guy. We'll go to the river. I want to check on Tom Sawyer and his island. We'll hop on that raft. Again, by the way, look at this. Look at this queue. That's to get on the raft, you guys. I can't remember the last time. I've seen big queues at Tom Sawyer before, but I can't remember the last time, you know, it's happened because people haven't been going to the island. And it's for good reason because they're not keeping it up. The front of the island is still closed. Dead Man's Grotto was open, which was surprising because Liz was at the park earlier this week and she found Dead Man's Grotto closed. But the pontoon bridge is open. Guests are running along the barrels. There's the Mark Twain again. The treasure lift is still broken. You can spin that thing, but the skeleton will not come up with his treasure. Nor the bilge pump is also not working today, and it is still a gross and gnarly green, just gross water down there. Ugh, God, that makes me ill looking at that. Okay, so let's get back to the entrance. Disneyland Railroad will update you on the train station. It's going to be just scrim and scaffold. That's all we're not going to be able to see much for a while. Like I mentioned last week, just like City Hall, I will just be noting whether or not it's there. But those walls are still there, by the way. The walls still don't know for sure what they're doing back there. Here it is from the town square side. And you could definitely, there's again, sounds of whooping and hollering back there. The sound I heard this week was of a nail gun. Pretty sure that's a nail gun, which suggests they're maybe installing the shingles to the roof of the queue parts of the train station on both sides, both the right and the left side. And I also heard some kind of cutting tool back there. They're cutting something. It's such a bummer. I'm not enjoying walking into the park and seeing this. I mean, I get it. Again, I totally get it. I'm not complaining. It just makes me sad. It makes my heart hurt a little bit. And part of that is that it's so present. It's omnipresent. All the way down Main Street, you can see that faux scrim up there hiding what should be a majestic beauty of the Disneyland Railroad station. Goodness. Okay, so a couple quick news and notes. The stroller shop is still behind scrim and scaffold also. They are working on the roof here as well, very similar to what they're doing at the Disneyland Railroad. There you can see a construction worker behind that scrim working on the roof there. We'll get back on the monorail to go check out Downtown Disney. And now I'm doing this just to look at what they're staging back there. That's the retail location. That's the back of the retail location. So I'm hoping to maybe see some stuff getting brought in. Maybe we can see some themed elements coming into the back side of that building. There's Parkside Market, and there is the front side of that retail building. Looking for any signs of construction inside through the glass. Very difficult to see. But I'm pretty sure that's drywall back there. In the weeks past, we saw just, the steel studs. But now that looks like drywall back there. And we'll be checking in periodically also to see if there's any sort of growth at the Orla Sandwich, of which there was none. So here's an update for you. The Lego store is getting a remodel. Now, I don't think they're gonna close it for a little while, and it's gonna be mostly the same, but there will be some changes made to the Lego store. As a matter of fact, I think it's closing this week, and it will probably be down for about a month. My understanding is that they're gonna be replacing some of the finished Lego pieces out there in front. The dragon will stay, as well as the green serpent. And then inside, they're going to be updating like flooring and things like that. So it's just going to be a refresh, a remodel of the store to make it look a little bit more fresh and updated. And I do believe they're going to be doing something with the upstairs. It used to be that guests could go upstairs in the second floor, but I think they're going to be, that hasn't been available to guests for a long time. And I would imagine they're probably going to be updating that as well. So look for the Lego store to be closed this week and down for about a month. And then finally, we'll check in on Tortilla Joe's, where there's no signs of demo. I cannot find any indication that they're beginning to do anything with this building. As a matter of fact, it's just as if they had just recently closed. You can see all the staging still. There's tables. All the tables are still there. All the fixtures, all the lights are still hanging. Everything is still there. So that is our construction update for you guys this week. Let's recap real quick the ride closures that are happening this week. The Disneyland Railroad obviously is still closed. We don't have a date yet, but our expectation still remains to be the end of October. Lincoln Theater, the Opera House is still closed. We do not have a date on that as well. Hungry Bear still closed, or the Country Bear Barbecue Jamboree. We do not have a date on that either. At this point, I'm going to assume it's going to open with the rest of the land, you know, with Tiana's. Small World is closed, but we do now have a date confirmation, according to the Disney Refurb calendar, that it's going to be closed until November 14th, reopening for the first day of the Christmas season on November 15th. Pixie Hollow is going to be closed until October 14th and reopening on October 15th, which is just 10 days away as I record this. We already know, obviously, Tiana's, we have a date for that. Tiana's is going to reopen on November 15th as well. Cast previews are going to begin on October 22nd. Something we haven't mentioned in previous episodes, World of Color 1, that's been closed for a while, but it'll be reopening on October 25th. And then Little Mermaid is closing on November 4th, and it is still unknown how long that'll be, but it'll be at least until November 15th. That's as far into the future as we can see on the calendar. So it's going to be at least probably a 2-week closure. And that's our show, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the show and want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/freshbaked. You can follow us on Instagram at _freshbaked, on Twitter at freshbakedisney, that's fresh with no E, and on TikTok at freshbakedisney. Otherwise, thanks again for watching, everybody. We love you. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And fresh baked.